We're speaking today with Lalit Keshre. He's co-founder and CEO of Groww. And for those of you who don't know or are living under the rock, Groww is one of the fastest growing platforms for financial inclusion, for trading, giving quite a bit of challenge to other big players out there. Lalit, we're very excited to speak with you at the NDTV World Summit because in this conversation, we not only get an opportunity to capture what disruptive technology can do, but talk about, I think, the biggest talking point in living rooms right now, which is, आज market में क्या हो रहा है?
No, first of all, thank you so much for inviting. Do you want me to answer that question? Market में क्या हो रहा है?
Before we start, do people randomly come up to you and ask you, quick tip है क्या? क्या stock खरीदे? Because you run Groww?
People used to a lot, but then they got just so bored of our answers that now they have stopped asking those questions.
Okay, let's start with the story of Groww. Tell us, of course, you started in 2016. That was a time, markets have been in a bull run for a while, undoubtedly, but that was a time when I think online trading had not become as prevalent perhaps as today. Yes. What was the idea behind it, the thought process?
Got it. So we were working with Flipkart, and personally I started investing like when I was in second year of my college here in Bombay around 2000, 2001, right? So was really passionate about investing and found a good set of folks, three awesome co-founders, all were passionate about financial services and so on. And we saw that we were also lucky to see how e-commerce grew in India, right? Everything becoming online and so on. And then we looked at the penetration of, how many people are investing in India, mutual funds, stocks, and so on. And then we saw like on Nifty 50, the constituents of financial services is like very large part of everything. And in the hindsight, if I see a lot of dots connected, right? And there was this opportunity to kind of create a crazy big impact, leveraging our technology to reach out to like millions of customers, millions of people across India. So that was the starting point.
Did you expect this kind of a trajectory, or that there would be this huge quantum of Indians across, it's not just middle class Indians, everyone now has some equity exposure or the other. The boom has been immense. Did you expect that to happen, or do you think that that's something which came about in a post-COVID era? You were in the right place, right time to ride the wave.
So we were definitely lucky. And by the way, we are still like penetration-wise, we are still very, very low compared to...
Agreed. Relatively, relatively, I would say.
Yeah. So if we compare with 2016, right? Bunch of things played a very big role. Like, as you said, markets have been kind of very, very good. And then a lot of fundamental changes happened in India. And especially on the digital India side, like, Aadhar, KYC happened, and UPI came, and a lot of education started happening, a lot of campaign, mutual funds and all, right? So there were some signals that, this wave, like this is a very, very kind of long-term wave and this is India's time and so on. Did we expect this much? I'm not sure, because we did not think too much like, where will be in 8 hours. I mean, of course there were plans and so on, but I think we were lucky, yeah.
Yeah, so right time, right place. Right now, there are also concerns, Lalit, about, so for example, futures and options or derivatives trading. All the regulators recently trying to clamp down a bit on the kind of retail participation. I just want to understand what is the kind of volumes you see on a platform like Groww? Have you seen a lot of interest or excitement about weekly futures and options, for example, and the impact that you see of that coming down?
You see, Groww is a kind of very broad-based platform. It has like number of products.
Sure.
We have mutual funds, stocks, and then of course derivatives. There are like 15 to 20% of our customers who do derivatives as well. And as you rightly said, like over last few years, the interest kind of is high, and regulator, as you again said, that regulator thinks about the customers, thinks about the investors, and kind of more or less aligned with our kind of thought process also, because what matters is the long term. How are people making money in the longer term, and so on. And yeah, so I mean, yeah, I mean,
Will you have an impact on volumes, or do you see those customers moving somewhere else? And do you think that retail investors needed to have been protected from things like weekly options?
I think, see, there are certain things where customer protection is very, very important. So from that perspective, I think we are in the right direction. Your first question about will it impact? Of course it will impact, but how much, what will be degree? I mean, your guess would be as good as mine or anybody, because there are a lot of second order, third order effects of any rule that comes into picture and any kind of change that happens, right? So we don't know about that, but of course there would be some impact. Yeah.
Give us a sense of the kind of growth we have seen in equity investment across India, and because you're at a position where you can get that expanse. It's not typically, it used to be maybe Mumbai, Gujarat, some pockets of the country where there were avid equity investors. That's not the case anymore, is it?
Yeah. So internet plus Aadhar, UPI, like they have like lowered the kind of barriers like anything. And then folks like us came who made it very easy, very transparent, and a lot of education campaigns and so on. So earlier, as you are saying, like investing was limited to cities like Bombay, Bangalore, or some cities of Gujarat and so on, right? But now you go to any like tier 2, tier 3 town, a lot of customers today are coming from like smaller cities. Why? Because all the information arbitrage that was missing, like now it's available to everybody at their fingertips. You can open Groww app and see what is a mutual fund, what is a stock, what are the related parameters about them, what is their fundamentals, what are technicals, like anything, whatever you want is available. So so that's a big fundamental change that has happened, and I think it's not like relatively new. I think the long-term trend started around that 2015-16, and again we were lucky to kind of start at the same time.
Yeah. Lalit, recently, I think you've had a big move. Our conversation and our context today is about the India century. And we have seen in the last few years, a lot of startups and young companies choosing to headquarter outside India for tax reasons, etc. We are seeing right now a trend of a ghar vapsi, in a sense. And your company is one of them that has now decided to move your headquarters out of US to India. So first of all, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And tell us why.
You see, India, Groww is an Indian company. Customers are in India, management is in India, all operations are in India. So it did not make sense to kind of be outside India. We had to go, we were a YC company, so we had to register in the US. But now there is no reason why we should not be in India.
You had to pay more taxes to come back, though.
Yeah, I think in long term that's a price you pay. But in long term, I think it would be very good for us.
It's also paving the way to tap the equity markets. You're setting up for an IPO by coming back.
Maybe in some time, yeah. But yeah.
It's on the cards.
It's like it's somewhere down the line, but we don't know when.
Okay. I'm trying to fish a headline out of you, Lalit, which you're attempting to avoid. But nevertheless, I'll go with somewhere down the line. So yes, the Indian equity investor is the center of all attention. IPOs are making, a huge inroad to investors, mutual funds as well. What do you think is the next big phase of growth? Will it continue to be mutual funds? Will it be IPOs? And will this confidence of investors sustain? Because we've seen in the cycle of equity markets in India that a bull run comes, one bad phase, and investors flee. Yeah. This time, do you think the things are different?
See, again, very hard to predict the future. We will come to know. On the next products, I think mutual fund is the most beautiful product for retail investors, at least, right? And then There's a lot of innovation that is going to happen there as well. Penetration is still very low. Like we compare ourselves with, let's say, 2016 or 2020 and so on. But if we compare with other countries, then it's still like very low. Like people are still kind of not beating inflation, right? And retirement problem is still not solved and so on. So there's like still long way to go. And I don't know whether there will be new products or not, but with existing products itself, I think there's kind of a lot of penetration. And that's where like companies like fintech, where the cost of serving customer is very low because of tech and everything, right? Where you can penetrate into kind of, deeper sections of the country. Like that's the big kind of innovation that is going to happen.
Yeah, but you're also in a very competitive space because the moat is low, right? Because the digital infrastructure exists. You have a fair number of platforms that make it very easy for you to invest at a click of a button on your phone while you're traveling. How does Groww aim to remain head and shoulders above or have a competitive edge?
See, the biggest thing about financial services is trust, right? You're compounding trust. And I mean, if you continue serving customer really well, if you continue kind of being on the side of the customer all the time and keep compounding that trust, I think that's the brand that you create. Or like if you look at all the financial services, large companies in India, why do we kind of go to them? Because they are trustworthy and they have very, very good service and so on, right? So, and it's very hard to do that, like continuously understanding customers' need. Like there is a saying in our product world where, customer need is always ahead of you and you are just running to kind of meet it. And my strong belief is that if you continue doing that, and other thing is like there's a big playground here. Like India is a big playground right now. Like India growth story is like multi-decade story is what like you have to believe, right? And and continue kind of building for the customer.
So what is the next big exciting announcement we're going to be hearing from Groww, or the next innovation that you're working on, Lalit?
See, I mean, I would be very happy to tell if we kind of work that way. But so the way we work is like we work on bunch of things, right? There are a lot of customer feedback that we keep getting. So we go out and meet customers. Like I personally travel across the country, meet customers in all the cities and so on. And then we invite customers and we come with like hundreds of ideas from those. And then we kind of keep churning them. So it's like more like an innovation factory than, one big idea that I can announce here and tell, this is going to happen. So, so it's kind of very boring under the hood, but then, what comes out is like much more exciting for customers.
I think talking about customer feedback is the daily volume of people complaining that their tech is glitching or their app is glitching. Is that your biggest pain point? And not just for you, I think across the industry. Because every once in a while you see this Twitter trend or this X trend coming in. XYZ company glitch, my trade got stuck, I lost so much money, please refund. Is that a big problem that still needs to be sorted, even as 99% of the time things are working smoothly?
I think more important than is the customer love that we get every day. Like, of course, like when you're building something very kind of, tech-based and very high scale, there would be anomalies, but I think what gives us energy is the kind of positive feedback we keep getting every day. So it's unfortunate that all the negative things are pointed like much more, but like, I get like hundreds of emails per day, build this or this is very good and, you should get this feature done. And customers are also very vocal. One beauty about building a product where customers care about you is like they are very vocal about what they want. So in general, in consumer product, it's very difficult to find what customers want, right? You will have to use various tools, but in our business, at least that is like very, very, so we are grateful to customers in kind of, talking about all the things that they want on the platform.
But is the biggest area to work on for the industry as a whole on smoother transactions and more tech-enabled transactions? What is the next leg?
There's a lot of investment that is needed. See, infrastructure is very complicated. So like we have almost like 400 engineers working on just that, kind of getting things like very perfect because it's about customers' hard-earned money. And that's like the promise, like reliability becomes the number one kind of item in your roadmap all the time, right? And rest everything is secondary.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Lalit. This is truly an example of innovation driving a business that is growing, a hallmark of growing India. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah.